We've seen what flies, how crews are trained, and how drones extend Canada's reach. Now we need to zoom out and ask the hardest questions. Why did Canada choose this particular mix of fleets? Can it actually afford to operate them at high readiness? And what will the RCAF look like in the 2030s and 2040s? Let's start with why this fleet. There are three big reasons. First, interoperability with allies. Canada rarely fights alone. By choosing aircraft like the F-35, the P-8 Poseidon, the A-330 base tanker, and MQ-9B drones, the RCAF aligns itself with major NATO partners and the United States. That means shared training, shared tactics, common weapons, and easier logistics. A Canadian F-35 can plug into the same networks as an American, Norwegian, or British F-35. A Canadian P-8 can fly anti-submarine missions alongside US and UK P-8s with compatible sensors and data links. Second, focus on Arctic and maritime defense. Given Canada's geography, the priority is not massed fighter squadrons in Central Europe. The priority is long-range surveillance and response over the Arctic, the Atlantic, and the Pacific. That drives choices like long-range patrol aircraft for anti-submarine warfare and surface surveillance, strategic and tactical airlift for remote operations, helicopters for search and rescue and naval support, drones that can stay on station longer than manned aircraft in harsh regions. Third, industrial and economic benefits. Large defense contracts are also industrial policies. Major programs, from fighters and patrol aircraft to training systems and drones, include substantial work for Canadian aerospace and defense companies, simulators, avionics, maintenance, mission systems, and more. That helps sustain Canada's aerospace sector and creates domestic expertise, not just dependence on foreign suppliers. But all of this has a price. Canada has announced a significant increase in defense spending, aiming to raise its defense budget over time and modernize its forces. Billions are earmarked for fleet renewal, NORAD upgrades, and infrastructure. However, turning money into combat power is not automatic. The RCAF faces several persistent challenges. Readiness. Only a portion of the total aircraft inventory is fully serviceable at any time. Maintenance, spare parts, and aging fleets constrain how many jets and helicopters can actually launch on short notice. Personnel. The Air Force is short of experienced fighter pilots, mission specialists, and maintenance technicians. Civilian airlines and private industry compete hard for the same talent. Infrastructure. Bases, hangars, fuel systems, and Arctic facilities built in earlier eras need upgrades to handle F-35s, modern cybersecurity, and extreme climate resilience. This is where NORAD modernization comes in. Canada and the United States are investing heavily in new radar systems, networks, and command and control capabilities. Key elements include over-the-horizon radars that can see farther over the Arctic and detect threats earlier, modern command centers that fuse data from radars, satellites, aircraft, ships, and ground sensors into a single picture, better infrastructure and weapons at northern bases to support fighters, drones, and patrol aircraft, closer integration with space-based surveillance and undersea monitoring. Think of it this way. If F-35s, P-8s, drones, and helicopters are the muscles, then NORAD modernization is the nervous system that tells those muscles when and how to move. Looking ahead to the mid-2030s, a successful RCAF modernization would mean fully operational F-35 fleets integrated with allied air and missile defense networks. P-8 Poseidon sweeping 3 oceans for submarines and surface threats. MQ-9B drones patrolling the Arctic and supporting missions at home and abroad. CC-330 tankers keeping fighters and transports on station longer. A mature FACT training system producing enough pilots and aircrew to fill all those cockpits and consoles. A hardened NORAD architecture that gives Canadian and US commanders a clear view of the air and maritime picture in real time. But this future is not guaranteed. It depends on consistent political will, funding that survives economic cycles, and the day-to-day work of recruiting, training, and retaining people. So where does that leave us? The Royal Canadian Air Force is not a superpower air arm in size, but it's expected to perform superpower-level missions over a vast, harsh geography. It is betting on modern fleets, deep integration with allies, and a rebuilt training and command system to stay relevant in a world of stealth aircraft, cruise missiles, hypersonic threats, and autonomous systems. Now, imagine you were designing Canada's Air Force for the year 2050. Would you double down on manned fighters like the F-35? Would you put more of the budget into long-range drones and space-based sensors? Or would you cut some traditional fleets to invest in something entirely new? Tell us in the comments. What should the RCAF of 2050 look like, and what would you cut to pay for it?